Hi again. Former US Army intelligence whistleblower Chelsea Manning has been jailed for refusing to testify in front of a grand jury in a case against the WikiLeaks co-founder, Julian Assange. Manning's lawyer says they'll appeal for her swift release.
This is an appealable order. Judge Hilton did find her in contempt in open court. Well, it was certainly a typical outcome for this kind of proceeding. As everybody knows, Chelsea has tremendous courage. Our primary concern at this point is her health while she is confined.
Chelsea Manning first came to fame in 2010 after handing over classified sensitive military data to WikiLeaks. She was sentenced to 35 years in prison and spent 7 of them there before being commuted by then-President Obama. The whistleblower was aware that she could be taken back into custody.
I have a history of having to deal with secrecy, and a lot of these secret proceedings, they tend to favor the government. They tend to allow things, nefarious goings-on to happen. So I am in general opposition of this kind of proceeding taking place. I don't believe in the grand jury process. I don't believe in the secrecy of this. I have no problem explaining what happened. I've done it before. Why we should go through this in a secret, closed hearing with only the prosecutor, no lawyer.
This all stems back to when Manning leaked more than 700,000 confidential documents and videos because she had profound questions about US foreign policy. Here's some of what she revealed, but a warning that you might find some of the following. Human rights campaigner Peter Tatchell says it's suspicious that the hearing was being conducted in secrecy.
What does the US government and judicial system have to hide? Why can't they conduct these hearings and these charges in open court? In this case, it's all being done in secret, which flies against the fundamental democratic judicial principle that justice should be open and transparent. And I think Chelsea Manning is quite right to shine a spotlight on the secrecy of the grand jury system and the way in which it is weighted towards the prosecution and against defendants. Julian Assange himself has been subject to secret grand jury hearings since 2010. He's never been allowed to know the charges against him or the evidence. He's not being given any kind of information whatsoever. And again, this is completely contrary to the basic fundamental principle of justice, that it should be open, transparent and accountable.
CNN is facing questions over diversity within its top brass. It's after several groups representing the black community in the US pointed at the absence of minorities in the company's executive board. Diversity's been something of a running theme on air at the American broadcaster.
What people in Europe and America ought to be proud of, what they should be celebrating, are the remarkable achievements of diversity.
Diversity in the workplace.
Diversity, inclusion, respect, integrity.
Diversity and inclusion, it is core to our culture.
The diversity and inclusion is the path forward to ensuring that your bottom line is great.
Despite featuring several black news anchors and correspondents, CNN seems to lack such representation in the top ranks. That includes executive producers, vice presidents and other senior positions as well. The National Association of Black Journalists, which first raised this issue, has blasted CNN for failing to meet its delegation to discuss this diversity gap. Members of the group had requested a sit-down with CNN President Jeff Zucker. The channel explained why it declined the meeting, pointing at a dispute with the association's vice president. We spoke to a member of the National Association of Black Journalists about why the whole issue has become so problematic.
We have been monitoring CNN for several years, along with the other broadcast and cable networks here, and we have noticed that there were no people of color, no African Americans, in the top decision-making positions. This is where the decisions are made not only about coverage, but who will cover it, how it will be covered, what resources they're able to use to do that. Quite often, this is the decision level where a lot of stories are either elevated or just pushed to the side. And quite often, we have learned through experience that stories about people of color or concerns of the African American community in the United States don't often get the attention that they deserve. This is a major concern to African American journalists and should be to them, since they serve the entire community in the United States, not just one particular group.